Let's get salty!
Hey everyone, Zeddy here again today with a brand new video, and it's the beginning of a new month, and we're about a week removed since the latest deck recommendation video, which I said things were going to change quite a bit. And yeah, we have a bunch of different decks to recommend to climb with, whether it's standard and wild or get into that silver, gold, platinum, diamond, or legend. So hopefully these decks can help you out. And as always, enjoy the content on the channel. Feel like I've earned your subscription, please hit that sub button down below. Give the video a like as we're on that road to 100,000 subscribers in that Brian Bronzebeard cosplay. So hit that sub button, make me go Baran. So two of the best decks right out the gate look like they are Death Knight. Starting off with one of the most affordable decks out of all these, Menagerie DK. I think it was very highly recommended last time. It still is right now, and I think the only legendary you really need is like Eliza Goreblade, giving your minions +1 attack for the rest of the game. Pretty darn solid, but basically it's a swarm deck, an aggro deck. Play your minions, burn your opponents out with Corpsicle. You have a ton of damage with like Horizon's Edge, Ghoul's Knight, and those Menagerie Jugs. If you got minions on the board with some tribes on them, give +3/+3, a ton of damage. Very efficient deck, pretty quick, fast deck, but overall, yeah, affordable, good, and something you could definitely climb with on a pretty fast basis. Starship DK has really started, especially at higher ranks, to emerge as one of the better decks out there, mainly because Rogue is super popular at higher legend, and well, DK does pretty good against Rogue, as you have a ton of board clears, armor gain with like your defense crystals and Exodar. You have the late game in there with Kill Jaden for infinite value, Ceaseless Expanse for a clear. Of course, Wild Pyro and Poison Breath can clear basically any board. Slap an Orbital Moon onto that Pyro to heal, or give some of your Starship pieces Reborn, or that Ancient of Yore to cycle through. Probably my favorite deck of the current meta. One of the best ones out there, and it's definitely that kind of more control flavor. You don't necessarily need to run Dirty Rat, but there are some people that tech that in, so have that list. It seemed to be one of the better performing lists out there, but you could sub in just like a Suffocate or something. This list doesn't have a Suffocate. You can put one Suffocate instead. That's typically the flex spot if you're looking at that. Pirate Rogue, another very good, as I mentioned, Rogue very popular, Pirate Rogue's very popular, very good deck, very aggressive. The best thing you can really do is get that Crystal Cove location here, get that up, and then go Buccaneer, get 2 5/5s, or if you got it with a Lucky Comet, you know you were very lucky, although the pool's really small, so you're very likely to get it. You can get 3 5/5s, and of course, you got Hosen Roughhouser to buff things up even more, and if you got a big pirate on the board, give it Wind Fury, and you have some late game that you can always cheat out with your Sandbox Scoundrel in Shallow Drizzle or Fyrakk the Blazing. Very aggressive deck to put a ton of stats out there, and yeah, you got Shadow Step and Prep in every rogue. I'm glad Shadow Step and Prep finally seeing some play these days, right? But yes, always very good in every single rogue deck. That also includes the other deck that is doing pretty well, particular at high legend, not the easiest thing to play in the world, in Cycle Rogue. The idea is you just get a Twisted Web Weaver out and you just start playing duplicate minions. So double Wisp, or start spamming out your Ever Burning Phoenixes for 0 mana. You can Shadow Step them, you can backstab them, and then replay them, and sometimes cycle through your deck as early as like turns 3, 4. I've seen as early as turn 2 Double Giant, which is a high roll. But yes, there's different lists out there. This one has like Maestra and Agency Espionage. Some people just throw Incendious in instead. So when your deck's basically empty, you play Incendious and finish off your opponent, because the late game strat doesn't particularly work that well. So something you could consider, but this is the most common list, so I thought I'd throw that out there. But yeah, be aware there are other options. And of course, you even have like the Tourist in there for like Eat the Imp. Actually, I guess you always run Maestra for Eat the Imp. It's more of, do I run Agency Espionage instead of Incendious? Incendious is probably the call, to be honest, so you might want to consider that. But again, I put out the most common list. And now Spell Damage Druid really has emerged as one of the top tier decks in the game. A lot of the Druid decks are just finding out that this location is absolutely cracked. I can't believe people question my 5 stars. I'm never wrong. Again, Grunty is a 4-star card, but yes, this is all about just getting a bunch of spell damage stuff, getting your Alonius out, out, getting Incendious out, and destroying your opponent, whether it be particular the Sparkling File, which gives you more mana cheat on top of that with like swipes and Living Roots. You got your location in there so you can like cheat out your Woodland Wonders. But yeah, you get that Amir Tristle, you can refresh even more mana on that Elodius turn, so you play your 7 mana Elodius and then gain 3 more mana with that location and draw cards, maybe possibly from your Incendious. It's a lot of damage, and yes, this deck doing very well. Recently emerged Imbued Druid has fallen off a ton. I will recommend it later, but more on the lower side, because there's another Druid deck that's emerged lately that's also doing good for like the first time ever. It's spell damage Starship Druid. So this is more of a swarm deck with you have your Woodland Wonders, but you also have the Cosmic Phenomenon, where if you have a decent sized board, you get an insane amount of buffs. You finally get utilizes legendary Exarch Othar, where if you're building a starship, get 3 different arcane spells and reduce their cost by 2. So you have like Cloakfield in here, and you do have a Starlight Reactor. So again, really utilizing this location is so strong that has elevated spell damage Starship Druid to be like this burn token style deck that is working out pretty well. Even have like Dream Planner Zephyrs in here for some extra reach potentially with spell damage or whatever you need. And yeah, deck's doing pretty well. Chia Drake in there as well to not only tutor your spells, but possibly give you spell damage. So Druid looking pretty good right now. The main priest deck I'll recommend is, Aggro Priest. You do have the imbues that were, the buffed imbue hero power, which basically just buffed aggro. Bitter Bloom Knight, Lunar Wing Messenger. I don't even know if we're running the 3-drop. It's too slow, apparently. The 2 mana 4/6 or whatever, this ridiculous buff they did on this card, and it's a super aggressive deck. Has the late game of Menagerie Jug as a buff, and not much else other than that. You can tutor your 1-drops, protect your board with Observer Mysteries, but purely aggression, which is what we all know Priest to be. Apparently lately, I don't know what the hell they're doing with Priest anymore. It's like aggro and just that's about it. The control stuff, I can't recommend it. It's not doing well enough. Demon Hunter, I went with Cliff Dive Demon Hunter. You could go in the last video, look up Pain DH. It's still doing well. Armor DH has made a bit of a comeback, but the stats on it are just worse than just playing straight up Cliff Dive Demon Hunter. You can't even corrupt the Shala. Doesn't really matter because you still get the 0 mana sap. You get the buff, the Awakens. It's still pretty good. And yes, Cliff Dive at 7. Get your Illidar, your Megtheridon. There's also the Ferocious Fellbat in here, which can bring back a Ravenous Fell Hunter, which could then bring back your Ball Hog, which could be brought back by return policy. It's nothing really new here, just a little bit more on the greedy end with the Ferocious Fellbat. But yeah, the meta slowed down quite a bit. That a deck like this still works even though Dive got nerfed, so we will recommend it. Protoss Mage has fallen off a lot since the initial patch, which I predicted would happen. The meta would get more aggressive as typically does, and it's just a pretty counterable deck. It definitely beats up on slower decks, but as you've seen by my recommendations, most of the good decks are pretty aggressive. But if you want to give this deck a try, it's kind of like a combo control deck, right? Like there's not really an OTK, although you can do 30 damage with 1 Colossus depending on how things go. But the idea is you play multiple Colossus, you bounce them back, you might even get more with Bob the Bartender. You have like Exarch Kataru in there just to get even more spells, Protoss spells in particular. Same with Tide Pools, and yeah, it's effective. This deck is much more effective against the slower decks than the fast ones, but you can still like stall with freezing and armor gain. You have a shot against them. It is certainly a climbable deck. Just be prepared. The games of this deck are very long, one way or another, so it's definitely not the most efficient for climbing. Same goes with Starship Warlock, probably trending a bit better than Protoss Mage, but not much has really changed with it. We still running 4 mana Curse Campaign. I will say, playing in this since the nerf, the nerf has mattered a couple of times on this card. I couldn't exactly flex in what I wanted, but a lot of the times it's pretty relevant, where you just want that Ancient of Yore back, you want those defense crystals back, or just a big starship to just stay alive basically infinitely, and then maybe you set up a Wheel of Death, you set up a Kill Jaden, clear with Ceaseless Expanse, all that stuff, and the one new card in here, Conflagrate, could mill your opponent, but particular, like playing Curse Campaign on Ancient of Yore, being able to kill it off yourself can be valuable. Killing off your own starship stuff, can be valuable. So it's fine. It typically works better on your own stuff than your opponents. Plus you get that draw, but you could definitely use it either way. We're also got, on the lower end, the Imbued decks. Druid, not much has changed since, the nerfs on it. You're still running Symbiosis. You're still running Shala. I think you're still running Sing-Along Buddy. All the cards. It's just slower now, and it's not as effective. It's still good. You can still climb to Legend, arguably, with it, but there are other better options as I've recommended. But other than that, Imbued Druid pretty good at, getting a larger and larger plant and trying to suffocate your opponent with stats. And then you have your all-in Fire Rock. We also got Malorn in here, a little bit more top end than the prior version because the deck slowed up a bit, so we kind of adjust accordingly. Imbue Paladin is probably had the biggest fall off since last week. It's still legend capable. It's still okay, but there's just better decks out there, and it's good. That new 1-mana hero power allows you to really get things in there, but the higher you climb on the ladder, the absolute worse this deck gets, especially top 1k legend. It's showing negative win rate. Other than that, it's not bad. So just be aware you're playing this. It will fall off as you climb, but overall, it's still pretty good at, play your early game minions. Dragon Scale Armaments can be just insane. Drawing 2 cards, getting that dragon on the board. And if you could get to that 7 Imbue or the 10 Imbue, those are the real sweet spots where 7's like Yasandra, 10 is Briar Spawn dealing damage, can be really effective. But it takes a while, and it does struggle to get the board back as well, and can get OTK. There's a lot of things going against it in the current meta, and I thought I'd throw a Shaman deck out there. I don't know if this is any good. If you want to try it, Asteroid Shaman, at least diving through Legend, this is 55% win rate. It's got a bit of an aggro opener style. You're playing a lot of early game, and then you just try and survive till you get your Bull-Eyed Behemoth and your Asteroid cards, and then you have Playhouse Giant, which you can cheat out because you've drawn so many cards. Same with Ceaseless Expanse, and we're still running Ethereal Oracle to try and tutor out those asteroids, ramp them up. We're not even playing Shutter Block. This is a much more aggressive version. Paraglide, you could mill your opponent or draw for yourself too, and that's going on for it. But overall, we're running Brain Gill. We're running Brain Gill in this deck, right? So how good is it? I wouldn't go out of my way to play it or craft it, but if you're looking for a Shaman deck, it's either this or Murmur, and neither are particularly thriving. And Warrior, again, it's like Terran Warrior. You could give a shot at Hunter, Token Hunter, but again, those classes just not thriving right now, so we'll not recommend them. And as for Wild, a little bit of a change up. We did have that big balance patch for Wild. Pirate DH does seem like the aggro deck of choice, of course. Got Kurtrus in there for your late game, your glides, all your pirates, Field of Strife buffs, and mana burn to try and lock people out. Super aggressive, kind of fills the void that Shadow Priest filled. But honestly, you could play the nerf Shadow Priest, and it still does. I see so many bots still playing it when I'm playing Jank. They still farm me. So if you want to play Shadow Priest, it's still decent enough to play. It just Pirate DH is slightly better. Reno Paladin might be the best deck in the entire format. The Exile Renathal, which has the Ceaseless Expanse Holy Wrath combo, but you can win with your Highlander cards of just beating up on aggro. You got Cariel, Rito, our ETC has another copy of Holy Wrath, Timeout, Seafloor Savior, all just trying to make our odds of getting that OTK, the 125 damage Holy Wrath combo possible. And pretty darn good deck. Can kind of do a little bit of everything, and definitely not budget friendly, let's put it that way. I would not recommend going out of my way to crafting it, even if it's a great deck, which for the most part it is. It's just so expensive, and it's wild. But I have all them golden or signatures, so I have a problem. And I will probably be playing this on my climb this season. Librams on the cheaper end, pretty much as good, right? The stats are super strong on it, a lot faster of a deck. Basically, it's all about getting 0 mana cards, and you do that by playing an Aldor Tenant, playing an Interstellar Star Slicer. That discounts your Librams, and then you're off to the races with 0 mana cards, whether it's your Divinity, your Light Ray, your card draw, and all this stuff tutors itself. It's really, really aggressive, really fast, and frustrates the hell out of me every single time I face it. Big Shaman is just always a deck you you can recommend because it's so brain dead that all you want to do is draw your Fairy Tale Forest, so you get your Muck Morpher, which could then turn into a Thunderbringer or a Walking Mountain, Epsilon. You can Ancestral Spirit, you can reincarnate all that stuff, or you can, you know, get that Ancestor's Call and cheat out a giant minion of your own that way. And again, this deck, you win or lose extremely quickly, and it's pretty good for climbing that way, right? Like, one way or the other, the games are going to end and you're going to win more on average than you're going to lose. So that's a pretty darn good climbing deck. And yes, I'm unironically going to recommend, at least as of now, one of the higher win rate decks at top 1K Legend, Astral Communion Druid. I will warn, I did play this on my stream the other day. I ran really bad and went almost positive, and I was running really bad. So I'm figuring if, you know, you run okay and the stats are looking all right for it, it might actually be all right, where yes, you gain 10 mana, discard your cards, but you can, you know, get to that a little bit faster, whether it's Innervate, Arcanite Revelation, and then a lot of times I'll play Aquatic Form before I Astral, so I dredge, like, I don't know, I hit Eonar, so then I top deck Eonar, draw my deck, and do some pretty gross stuff. And yeah, it's crazy that this is competitive enough that I'll recommend it in our ETC as Tight-Lit Witness, Alexstrasza, and Yoxaron. There's versions with like Deathwings that I think might just be better because, like, you really need to get that board back, and Factory Assembly Bots I am not sold on. But hey, I thought I'd recommend this list because it is one of the best trending lists at High Legend, so why not? Maybe you want to give it a go. And yes, that is our deck recommendations. It'll be the final one until, well, probably tomorrow. We're getting the expansion announcement, I'm guessing, with the early access card. I doubt we'll do another deck recommendation video just for the early access card, unless it's that meta impactful. Then maybe we'll follow up in a few days or a week or so. But overall, yeah, this is probably going to be our last recommendation until either the next balance patch, which we at least did say we'd get one in June, or the next expansion, which should be in early July. Anyways, if you enjoyed the video, please like and subscribe. You guys will want to tune in tomorrow. There's lots of news coming. Have a great day and stay salty, my friends.